Hello! Welcome back. Okay, we're going to continue with our sequel playthrough here. And I'm searching for closure. I don't know where I'm going to find it.
A man named Stanley.
If I'm going to find it. But now that we know that we can sort of revisit some well-traveled paths with the bucket, I'm just going to be on the lookout for different things. I'm not going to go with any expectations. That's one of the things about closure that I feel very strongly about.
Workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Is that it's not something that you can really create necessarily. Not totally. It is something I think that you can look for and achieve with intention, but it's not something that is so easily manifested.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
I feel the comfort. The bucket is my friend. It is my coping device.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I'm going to go to the right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
I kind of want to see...
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
I think the bucket kind of completes a piece of the game that was missing for me, which is like a medium between myself as Stanley and the narrator.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
It's nice to not be the center of like the narrator's frustration at all times.
This was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
In fact, it makes me want to push the limits a little bit with narrator and bucket. Like
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Now that his attention is on the bucket instead of me, I wonder if I can sort of like shift the focus off of me.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
Not this time, narrator.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Oh, I wanted to get that. Can I? Yes!
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
I don't know about that, narrator. So yeah, I want to like see how toxic things get now that the bucket is involved, because my relationship with the narrator has been somewhat contentious, but also highly dependent. I know they've got a third person in the mix here. I'm curious how things play out. Where does this take me? Oh, this is like an entirely different area. It's kind of ominous.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up.
No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
It's gotta be... It's gotta be the narrator. He's trying to come between me and the bucket. He knows. He knows that there's something paranatural about our relationship. Maybe the bucket is like my way out of this labyrinth of cyclic life and death. maybe the bucket is not a part of this world, and it's the medium that I need to sort of depart from it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So there actually is a little bit of sense we can make of like maybe why the narrator hates the bucket and why that becomes a source of joy for us or anyone who interacts with it. Like, I don't know, something about that last exchange makes me think that there's been someone else who has gone through something similar here. And the bucket represents like kind of a form of escapism, I guess, from like the narrator's control. I don't know. There's some stuff going on here. So there is a psychoanalytic theory, like actually derived from psychoanalysis, which that's not really my domain of practice or even really interest, because the psychoanalysis is pretty like ancient stuff at this stage. But it is interesting. And there's a term that we use sort of like offhand sometimes that it actually has more of a root in an actual theory. But we sometimes use this phrase, bad object, which if you're finding like someone is, you know, difficult to work with, or despite any attempts to sort of develop rapport with them or something, you'll sometimes hear clinicians say like, oh, I've sort of become bad object to them, which basically means like it feels like they're no longer viewing you sort of in context. You've just become sort of something that represents a negative thing to them. And it's a very steep uphill climb to sort of undo that perception, right? Like you've become the bad object in their mind. And that is removed of like the context of your attempts to repair that relationship or show empathy. Like those are all signs of deception maybe. Okay, so like colloquially we'll sometimes say this, but where it comes from is this like psychoanalytic idea that when we struggle to sort of integrate negative self-perception, like things we don't like about ourselves, we can sort of split that off from the self and onto something that becomes the bad object. And an object could be a literal object like a bucket, or it could be a person or a place or like any kind of broader context, right? Like walking into the daycare center could be bad object, right? In a childish sense. Going to work, like work could be bad object for you. Like there's no way for you to develop positive sentiment towards it because it's already solidified as this thing. But the idea is that it is a kind of projection, right? We project negative parts of ourselves onto other people. Like, oh, I don't like him. He's jealous. she makes me mad because she's so stubborn, right? Like, but I'm the jealous and stubborn in this situation. And so it's kind of like that. We develop these like very formative ideas about, bad objects and good objects. And they are a rejection of any sort of integration of that perception onto ourselves, because that sort of helps us cope with it. Not in a healthy way. It's this instinct to reject something that I don't want to be a part of myself by associating it with something that's kind of outside of me. And then I can sort of like more safely critique it and put a barrier between my recognition of my own, stubbornness and jealousy and whatever else. And I feel like this is...
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Good object for Stanley. Like, this has become a sense of freedom, a sense of euphoria, a sense of stability in a cold and uncertain world. The bucket can do no wrong. Nothing bad can happen to me with the bucket. And like, what am I rejecting as a part of myself? The fear of my own agency. Like my ability to create good experiences for myself, maybe, right? It's not a good thing to do this for the narrator. Maybe this has become bad object because it is the thing that stands between him and Stanley and like, the point of all of this for him. And so like, we want to try to integrate these things in a healthier way, right? Like we don't want to split off and project negative qualities of ourself, which for the narrator, maybe it's like, I'm unable to make Stanley happy or myself happy. And so like, I think that the bucket is trying to control him when that's really something that he's trying to do. Right? Like it comes from psychoanalysis, lots of metaphor, lots of abstract thinking. It's not really my domain of practice or even special interest, but it is interesting stuff. And we do like use that terminology, but in a much more simplified way. Like, oh, I've become bad object to this person. Like there's very little ground to make up. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, I think that we've developed kind of a psychological splitting of positive sentiment, at least according to the narrator. Maybe that's also a projection. That the bucket is all good. But for him, it's all bad. Because it leads us away from the point.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
I do want to see, though.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
I love that.
Cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Like, there is just no way for him to see the bucket as a good thing.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
You can see this come into play in the relationship dynamics where, like, people develop a good object perception of someone who is bad for them. And it really blunts your awareness to, like, no, you know, this person is good for me. They can do nothing wrong.
Here,
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Just obey. What could go wrong? Oh my
Now
God!
pick up the phone.
Fuck!
Said the bucket.
Pick
This
up the
again.
phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Okay, this time I'm actually going to answer it.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Where's my bucket? It's true the narrator did give us the bucket, but I wonder if he feels over time that this was bad for us. Oh, there it is. My bucket! Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press L to take me to work with you. Okay.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Press B to take me back home with you.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Ooh, yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to convince someone that some part of the relationship is in their blind spot. Could be a relationship with, you know, a person or a job or an activity that they do. Obviously, this comes into play a lot with like substance abuse, right? Like, this is inherently not a rational relationship that we develop with things where they're just separated and filtered into these like very one-dimensional concept buckets. And it's like very hard to then perceive any of the consequences to it, right? But the bucket provides me with so much comfort and calmness and stability. And I like that it tells me to press the buttons, just like my job.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Hey, are you trying to separate me from my coping device? No, what am I saying? This isn't just a coping device. It's my friend. It's my gateway to freedom. Don't listen to the loud man. Press V for us to go back home. Yeah, that's right, okay? Now the narrator is becoming my bad object because he's trying to separate me from my good object.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is this awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
That's right. Because, at this point, now the bucket represents, to me, an alternative voice, a justification not to listen to the narrator, who constantly pushes me in new and exciting directions. And I, as Stanley, someone who likes my boring job, does not want to go in new and exciting directions, okay? I want stability. I want predictability. I want repetition, structure. When I put my hands on the cold metal of the bucket, I feel anchored to my life, okay? And you, narrator, you keep wanting me to experience brand new things. Adventure, excitement, novelty, okay? Things that I am afraid of experiencing because my personality is very underdeveloped. And those are the parts of myself that I'm afraid of integrating. and I consider them bad and scary for me. And that's what you've become, okay? In the bucket. The sweet catharsis of stagnation. Press T to ignore anyone in your life except for me. Yes. My relationship with good object deepens.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press C to go back home. I do. Of course I do.
I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like
Is he coming around?
better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
I love how Stanley has the same fucking photo at home. Oh, I've even got the bucket on the wall. Holy shit, dude. Stanley needs a lot of therapy. He needs a lot of therapy. Is that Stanley with a man bun playing jazz music for the bucket? Press M to relive the same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
He's the poor guy. He's trying to make sense of why we've become lost. But this is like what happens when, if you've ever known someone who's like trapped in a really bad relationship or something, and or just heading in a different direction in life than is observably healthy for them, the more that you try to pull them out of that, the deeper that attachment can become, and you become the bad object, and whatever it is they're attached to becomes the good object. Press M to go home, to work, to home, to work, to home. I do think that in this case, yeah, the bucket really represents a retreat into what our life was like before all of this exciting stuff happened with the narrator. Which Stanley, as I said in the very first episode, is really kind of, it's not built for. If he were to go to therapy, for example. I actually think that like what he's been going through, this like exposure to alternative paths in life, like going through the offices and living his life differently with the help of the narrator, is like the best kind of exposure therapy for him. But this would represent some regression.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps, if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
No!
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it
Don't
to me. Give
you
me the bucket,
dare.
Stanley. I need it. Give
Let
it to
me
now.
out.
Give it or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley. Ah, the bucket is a spiritual medium. That is actually the only time that we've been outside of the office space. So I think maybe for Stanley it does represent some kind of escape. Escape from this exciting new world that we've stepped into. One with many branching and exciting paths. Now, as Brady, do I like the idea of Stanley falling backwards into the most fucking boring job ever? Not really, but I am interested to explore this narrative path.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, there's actually, this is new. Figurine Finders Committee meeting today. Oh, I do want to find the figurines.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Yes.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I have my good object. I'm safe. It's like my blankie in this case. Oh, what? Trust the completionist instinct. Why wouldn't they just tell us something will happen? This investigation, this room, they feel pointless, to be honest. Weird spinning figurines. Didn't he say that they were, like, insignificant? Maybe we are the collectibles. Managed to pick up sounds unusual to our regular office ambiances or local audio sources. A dark area behind a very warm place. Okay. There will be a reward for finding them all. Oh, there is something to these fucking things. So this must be, let's see, we got one inside the sequel exhibit. A very large room with lots of boxes. Somewhere both red and blue. Yeah, those are the ones we got. So stairs, something to do with stairs. Nearby a fireplace and a private but smelly place for an important person. Okay. The stairs makes me think on the way to the boss's office. I wonder if there's any bucket-related broom closet dialogue.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now.
Wait, I know what he's doing.
It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong.
He just wants me to leave.
This is your companion and lifelong friend.
He just hates that I'm in the broom closet.
Oh, we're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends?
He's just trying to drive me apart from either the bucket or the broom closet. Two things that I have become very attached to and which represent my antagonism to the narrator, that represent my rejection of his want for me to experience new and exciting things. Damn it, narrator, why don't you just let me live my boring life?
That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet offer its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together.
This is a
Go
trick.
through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
I don't know what to think now. I'm very emotionally confused here.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
I see you trying to drive us apart here.
Take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
God damn, the crash out. Multiple broom closet crash outs for the narrator. Okay, I think he actually left us this time.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
This has got to be the stairs he was talking about, right? Or the... Oh, I can hear it. Oh, a Stanley ring.
Name of these little Stanley figurines.
What do you
And
call
now
it?
I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it.
Does feel pretty
I'm
good.
sure it will come to me.
Feels great that I'm getting close. I kind of love it. I kind of want to see what happens with the insanity ending,
Stanley
but with the
just
bucket.
couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
I wonder if we can cope better with this, with the bucket.
Maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized,
Uh-oh.
This
It's not working.
isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone
What?
else's bucket.
Oh, that's why we're
I end
panicking.
up with someone else's bucket. This is all terribly wrong.
No, it says Stanley. Where did it go?
Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the
My bucket!
logically grounding presence of his bucket. Indeed. Now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course,
My good object is gone.
now he felt himself
What?
off the ground.
What? What am I doing?
Exclaimed, Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it.
Where is
Far
it?
off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Buckets!
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
He went forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next.
Oh my God, wait.
Were his. None of them
No!
were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
These are just objects. They're not good
Find
objects.
the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the
I didn't have my bucket.
This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
What? The fuck? I knew it. I knew the bucket was the thing keeping me sane from what feels like an insane adventure into madness. Well, I know that we're getting pretty close now.
Workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps Stanley
Got my bucket.
bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Way ahead of you, narrator. Going for my figglies now. Nearby a fireplace. Could be... Was there like a fireplace in that woodland area? Red room. That one we found already. I kind of need a hint for this. Good luck. I mean, the hint is the fireplace. Right. Okay. Bottom text. F files. Okay. Well, I have to look for a fireplace. private but smelly place for an important person. An important person could be the boss. Let's go to the boss's office. I like how the stickers have stayed.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Is it this way? What? Did I ever go that way? I don't think I ever went this way. Business strategy. What is this way? I don't think I've ever seen this. Where am I going? Was I supposed to do that? Oh shit. Maybe not. But this just take me nowhere? I don't think this goes anywhere. Okay. What about... Wasn't there... The bathroom? Yes! The smelly place.
Stanley, you've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anmarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different.
Sweet satisfaction.
Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now...
And then we'll have all of them.
You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anmarines. None of us can.
It's true. It's very true. Okay. Now all I need to do is find the fireplace. Oh, there's a fireplace.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the
bucket.
Presence of the bucket.
That's right.
Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Well, maybe it's just like here. No, because that's the fireplace. Oh, the last one! The first number is going to be the second number.
And there it is. The last Stiglitz.
Yes!
Savor this moment, Stanley. This
Savor!
is a real accomplishment.
I'm savoring.
Doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. Instead, I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Well, I was just sort of aimlessly walking around with this fucking bucket, really. Which is pretty cool. I mean, it's still a cool thing to do. But I think there is a secret reward he's not telling me about.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Yes. Yes. Everything is fine. I have completed
Stanley and the bucket walked
my
straight
objective.
ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Now the question is, do I want to escape to the museum with the bucket? Or escape the mind control facility with the bucket? Kind of want to check out the museum, because I really went there a little too early.
Though this passageway had the word escape
Last time.
the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Kind of want to show the bucket, the museum.
The door behind them was not shut.
Kind of like going on a date.
Bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Kind of like going on a date with the
At
bucket.
this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Saved by the bucket. Oh, I wonder what lady narrator has to say about bucket.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
I'm not reflecting on that.
It puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use
does.
is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself.
No,
And he
I know
sort of
that I'm not
kicked
going to be
himself
crushed.
for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
Stop trying to divide us. Escape.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
That's right. We're free.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket. Wait. It's gone. It's gone! The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn out here with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and in darkness? I don't know. It's been so long since
Can you see
I've
how arrogant it was for Stanley
made my own
to take a
decisions.
bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you
It-
see the hubris that blinded him?
Yeah.
Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
What? What the fuck did you just say to me? Arrogant. 25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets. The greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. That's quite impressive. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. I'm in awe of its magnitude. Ooh, it's like the Vitruvian bucket. A bucket with two handles. This bucket is depicted as having two handles. That's... yeah. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. As they should be. That's just too much power for one individual to wield. The Inferno bucket. Can I just take that one? No. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. That remains to be seen. Maybe Stanley is the first and only to do it. I mean, we learned that it caused a paranatural crash out for at least one person who encountered a bucket. The stress bucket. Presented without commentary. An analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. The stress is like the level of water in the bucket. vulnerability is the size and strength of the bucket. And the coping strategies are faucet, rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy. It's kind of legit. It's kind of legit, honestly. I actually kind of like it as an analogy for stress management. I even sometimes draw it like this. I don't so much do it with stress as I do like displacement of emotion, where you sort of collect emotion about something. Maybe it's like anger throughout your life, and this is sort of like bottling it up in a metaphorical bucket of sorts. And when you have a disproportionate reaction to something, like, you know, you get in a little argument, but you have an explosive reaction, it's because that emotion's sort of being displaced out inappropriately. And so you do sort of need to dispel that concentration of bottled up emotion in a productive and socially acceptable way to ensure that like it's not overflowing. And so that when you have a negative emotional reaction, it's okay to have that, but it should be proportionate to the event. It's kind of brilliant. I mean, I guess I'm out of a job. I mean, why do you, what do you need therapy for when you have that? While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. Fascinating.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. It symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that it is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good. Oh, it's another hole. I'm obsessed with holes. Wait, what? What? Can I... Am I ascending?
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die.
Hey.
Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset
Hey.
the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
But see, it is my craving and lust for power that keeps me returning for the bucket. So I couldn't do it this time, narrator lady. Couldn't do it. Well, I suppose that will be the end of our journey for now. We've collected all the figurines. There wasn't really a reward after all, although... possibly there is one waiting for me still. And I feel very emotionally tense with where things are. I'm without closure. I've got two very strong personalities, Bucket and Narrator, pulling me in different directions. And I feel like everything is close to unwinding. But perhaps that's exactly where we need to be. To heal and to grow and to learn we can be fine without the bucket. And that maybe this guy, the narrator, you know, maybe it took some division between us to realize maybe we were kind of meant for each other. Maybe he actually does kind of represent something good to expose me to the fact that I've sort of developed an unhealthy coping attachment to this workplace, to my boring life, to the bucket, all of these things. And that he was actually trying to get me to experience something new. Maybe he isn't the death of my personality, but maybe he's actually the key to it. I guess we'll find out soon. Or we won't. Because this game, I have no fucking idea what's going to come next. And that's kind of what I love about it. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you again very soon.